This is the scene in central London, River Thames there, pedestrians making their way across the bridge. Much of the discussion, though, is whether workers should still be expected to turn up in these conditions. Some unions calling for heat strikes. Joining us now is Rico Wojtulewicz from the National Federation of Builders, Head of Policy and Market Insight for you. Good to have you with us. What's your take on how the hot weather is affecting people? How should the government, how should employers be responding?
Well, good morning. This conversation comes up all the time, every year, in fact, and one of our most popular guidance documents on the Ask NFB website is the hot weather guidance. And that's how we should be responding with guidance. And it's always a temptation to call for heat strike as an example, but it's not the right approach. No other country does it. I think Saudi Arabia may have maximum temperatures, but guidance we have for low temperatures, we should have the same for high temperatures. And that's for a number of reasons, in part to ensure we have mitigation in case it does get incredibly hot.
So people should still be turning up for work, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. There are some jobs you'll be able to do at home, and some organisations will be comfortable with that, but other jobs not so. And so it really is at the discretion of the employer to make that decision. But it's also that employer needs to make sure that their staff are safe and healthy. And, you know, as I said, it's the most popular document because actually employers do want to make sure their staff are healthy. And, you know, I've got two children going to nursery and they are finishing early today because they want to, you know, give the staff a chance to work, but also perhaps, you know, get that, strike that balance. There are mitigation solutions they could implement. But of course, if you ask for a strike, you're never going to get those mitigation solutions. You're just going to skip the whole, let's make it work for everybody.
The World Health Organization suggests that kind of nearly 23 million occupational injuries occur each year because of heat. Those working outdoors, construction, for example, scaffolders, farmers, people that work in building trades, most exposed to that. You know, there is, though, you know, when it's 38, 39, 40 degrees Celsius, is there an argument that with respect to guidance document can only go so far in keeping people safe in this kind of weather?
Well, partly it's down to the individual. So we've updated our guidance documents very recently to kind of include solutions, perhaps, you know, changing shifts, ensuring you've got somebody going around, making sure everyone's hydrated or feeling well, checking on people throughout the day. So you may get to a situation, you know, what you're describing there is potentially that Saudi Arabia issue. Now, are we talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 days a year, or are we talking about 3 months of the year? And that's the difference between a guidance document operating well and a strike. And so that balance needs to be reached, and that's pragmatic rather than simply reactionary. And I would say we do a very good job. You know, during the COVID strike, we had 11-page documents. So apologies to our members who had to stick that up everywhere to make sure their workers kept safe. But I would ask, you know, the unions in particular calling for a strike, well, are their staff having air conditioning in, say, hospitals to ensure that they are not suffering these issues because they're working indoor? I know many people working in healthcare and they do not. So why do we go to this solution of a strike instead of actually fixing the potential issue that may just be marginal over a 365-day year?
There are lots of protocols for big business, big operations, big employers, big corporations, but there is an awful lot of the United Kingdom that is powered and run by small businesses, lone workers, self-employed individuals, you know, household businesses who maybe don't have the same capacity or the same protocols in place. What's your advice to people who you know, at the end of the day have got to earn enough money to feed the kids and put on the lights, but maybe kind of struggle with the balance of you know, doing everything they need to do and then also doing everything they need to do to keep safe?
Yeah, it's a very fair challenge. So if you look at the construction industry, almost 50% of people are self-employed. So your main contractor that's employing them could have, you know, mitigation solutions on site. It could have water. But if it's up to that individual to make the choice, because effectively it's their business, are they going to come to work to earn the money, or are they not, and not earn the money because they're not directly employed? It's a really difficult decision, and I would agree. That's why, again, it's really important to ensure that if you're contracting as an example, you are actually really thinking about your staff that you directly employ, and also your supply chain. And I would argue that typically these things are partnerships, you know, particularly in the construction industry. So you want to keep healthy relations so you get good outcomes, good quality, You keep those relationships in the long term because you might work with somebody for 20, 30 years in your supply chain. So it's a fair question to ask. But then again, it shouldn't automatically be let's strike. It should be how do we achieve the balance until people can't work.
Joining us from the National Federation of Builders, Rico Wojtulewicz, joining us from Brighton. Thank you so much.